Welcome, welcome, welcome to Kingdom Cast. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Kingdom Cast. What is going on today? We are gathered here together with Chance and Amanda Mullins from Havelock, right?
Yep.
Havelock, North Carolina. You want to tell a little bit about yourself and your family?
Yeah, man. First of all, it's good to be here. Haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a while. But yeah, man, we just recently moved to Havelock, North Carolina. We've been in the mountains for the last 12 years of our life. So, we kind of decided to pick up and kind of change paths a little bit. And we went from the mountains to the coast. So we've been doing that for the last year. I think we've been there for a little over a year, I do believe now. So got 4 beautiful kids, man, just enjoying the life right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man, just kind of living one day at a time.
You
Taking it slow.
You like the beach or the mountains better?
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I like the mountains. I do. But the beach, I think what it is, everything has its perks. I think that the mountains has its perks and the coast has its perks. Because the mountains, you just got the beautiful views every day. You got the low humidity. And the beach, you got the water and you got the sunsets and everything. So everything.
I seen y'all were just at the beach.
We go almost every weekend that we ain't traveling. We usually go to the beach.
Which one does the kids like more?
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix. I think it's half and half.
I think it's where we are. We have one child who loves the mountains, our oldest, Tatum. He spent his whole life there. The other ones, if we're at the beach, they like the beach. If we're in the mountains, they love the mountains. They're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's a testimony, though, to how they're being raised.
That's
and
right.
the parents. They're just happy to be where you're at.
That's right.
And that's what's important.
That's exactly right. That's
what's
exactly
important.
right.
Man, it's just, so we grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, not too far from here, we used to hang out right down past the gas station there. And to be sitting here and talking about Jesus or talking about God, it's an amazing testament to what God can do.
Yep.
Because in all honesty, I know my path was quite left field, if you will.
Yeah.
For the last 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much my whole life. Let's just say it.
Yeah.
But, it's amazing to be able to sit down and talk to y'all. But I know that y'all have an amazing testimony, and it's a blessing to get to see some of your posts and different things and see what y'all are doing for the Lord and see how you're raising your kids.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Thank you.
It is. It's a blessing.
Yes, sir.
And with saying that, what is the secret to raising godly children especially in the society that we live in?
I don't think Go ahead.
I
You
think
can
first it's in our lives, our daily walks. They get to see that. And which, we're not perfect and we fall short every day, but they're like a constant reminder of God's gift. And so whenever we see them, and the other day, my sister and her kids were supposed to come down and they weren't able to come because they got sick. The little kids did. And I told Sailor, she's 5, And I said, oh, they're not coming. They're sick. She's like, well, did you pray for them? I'm like, no, I didn't, but that's a good idea. So then we
That's
all
awesome.
like prayed, but they help us grow. But also when I look into their eyes, I want to do better. And I think that just teaching them by our daily walk and praying and reading and just constantly pursuing God and a personal relationship with Him, and they see that, I think that plays a huge role in it.
Yeah, I definitely think that as well, because I know there's a lot of times where, me and Amanda sit back and we're like, oh man, we need to do more of this, or we need to do more of that. And we just feel like we're constantly, like she said, falling short. And then you get your kids coming up to you and, they're, you walk in, they're reading their Bible, or you walk in and they're praying, and you're like, you know what? We're, maybe they are watching, and maybe they are paying attention, because a lot of times we just get like dad and mom guilt,
Yeah.
and I know everybody gets it, but we get that kind of guilt, and we're just like, man, and we talk about it all the time and stuff we can do better, but like, we walk in and see stuff like that, and the kids like praying, like sailors wanting to pray and stuff, and we get that, and we're like, man, maybe we are doing, maybe God is still using us even whenever we feel like he's not. God's still using us as parents to guide our children in the way they should go. So I mean, it's definitely a blessing.
I like what she said. Grow together.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then you just said it too. You said they're watching us. But what's amazing is you was watching them.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of works with each other and
That's
balances each other out to where you all continue to grow as a family unit towards
That's right.
Jesus. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, that's already good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Chance here and Amanda, they are going to share a little bit of their testimony with us today.
All right. Well, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chance Mullins. I'm originally from Lexington, North Carolina. Me and Stephen here, we've known each other for a long time, and I would say that me and him pretty much has the same similar backstory. But it started, I think that whenever I turned a teenager is whenever I got introduced to a lot of things of the world, and I was on a slippery slope to begin with. I had divorced parents and had a lot of things that was just really bringing me down, making me question things. We went to church until that point, and I wasn't sure exactly where to turn to. Of course, I could have turned to God, but I was young. The guidance wasn't there at the time, and I started turning to drugs. I started turning to alcohol. I started doing things whenever I was 13 years old. It was on my 13th birthday, and after that moment, that was just a steady decline in my walk with God, and I got on a lot of different, I got on a lot of different drugs. I'd done a lot of different things in and out of jail. Got kicked out of school, lost my license. You name it, man. You name it, I was right there in it. I was right there in the mix. And, I never thought about my wife at the time. I was single. I was living a crazy lifestyle and around people I shouldn't have been around. And then I kind of, I started talking to Amanda. She kind of stumbled into my life at the perfect time. Because, man, I promise you, I was ready. I didn't know if if I wouldn't have met her, I guarantee you in a year to 2 years, I'd have been dead in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I guarantee it. And I tell her that all the time. But
Well, we knew each other
Yeah.
growing up.
Oh,
We
yeah,
went to
yeah,
school
yeah.
together. We were
Yeah.
really good friends through high school, but then like lost contact after high school, really.
Yeah.
And so we knew each other. We were friends, but I think that when we were younger, we were both just not ready for love yet.
Yeah.
The love that we have, the passion. And I think that whenever we finally started dating, I think it was just perfect time for both of us. We both had been through stuff. We'd both been in relationships through life ups and downs, and we knew what we didn't want and what we did want.
Yeah. And I think that once that she come into my life, because I had been actively like going after her forever, man. She just wouldn't give in, you know? She's
I
like,
understand
look,
completely.
Yeah. She's like, look, you know, like you need to pretty much, she told me in the nicest way, look, you know, you need to grow up and we'll maybe make this work. So that's what I did, you know, and her dad and mom is big time, you know, into church. Her dad, you know, he's in seminary school right now and going to be a preacher and good godly people, man. I mean, the best thing that's ever happened to me. And, you know, I started courting her, and they pretty much told me, "Hey, look, I don't want her over there where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, you come over here." So I respected that 100%. I started going over there, and then finally, her mom and dad was like, "Look, you know, we've got a couch. You know, you can move out of your environment that you're in and come into this environment, in a positive environment, and we can help you grow."
I like
So,
that. You know
yeah.
why?
That's awesome.
Because they seen something in you.
That's right.
That's right.
You're right.
Yeah.
And they did. And I think that is why I'm so connected with her and her family.
Yeah.
Is because through my flaws, through my sin, through everything that I had going on in my life, her parents seen right through it, and they seen me for me. You know, and I think that whenever they did that, they knew that I was not a lost cause. They knew that I needed guidance, and I did. I mean, I was looking for it. I mean, I didn't want to be the way that I was,
Right.
you know? I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to wake up every morning feeling the way I did. So, you know, whenever they took me in, I was very, very excited. I mean, I was. Got to see her every day and you know, got to say goodnight to her, and her mom and dad was, you know, super strict. I mean, super strict, you know, and you know, it was a blessing to be able to do something like that. And then I knew after that, I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl. And within 6 months, I had a ring, and I had proposed. I went to her mom and dad. Of course, I did the old-fashioned way because her family is very old-fashioned. So I, you know, asked their blessing, got their blessing, and got married. But that was the start of my faith. That was really where God really started working in my life, because I stopped drinking. I stopped, you know, trying to do all these things that I was doing before. Of course, I still had my flaws. I still did, you know, I still drank and still did things I shouldn't have done. But in 2015, I had both my kids, and both my oldest two. I've got two young ones, but had my two oldest, and it was my I can't even remember what birthday that was back in 2015. I can't even remember. Anyways, it was my birthday, right, April 3rd, and I went out with a couple of guys, right? No big deal. I didn't think nothing of it. It was my birthday. They said, "Hey, we're gonna come get you. Let's go." So I was like, "All right." So we went out to the local bar, and man, it just one thing led to another, and I got to where I was just blackout. I don't remember anything. I woke up that next morning, and my wife didn't say a word. She didn't scold me. She didn't yell at me.
That's scary.
She
If
didn't.
you know
Yeah,
me,
and
that's
scary.
hard
yeah,
for me.
yeah. So
Quiet
I
is
woke
hard.
up, and it was like 1 o'clock in the evening, right? She was making dinner, or she was making lunch, because I had family coming over for Easter and stuff, and you know, I kind of sat there, and my two kids was sitting on the foot of my bed. I'll never forget this. This is burned into my brain, because this was life altering, life changing. So I wake up, you know, I'm hungover, looking at the foot of the bed, and they're just sitting there staring at me, my two kids, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing," you know. And I'm like, "Nothing's wrong with me. Why?" And they was like, why are you still sleeping for? Won't you get up and play with me? And literally, I was so exhausted and so hungover, I couldn't even get up and play with my kids.
Yeah.
So it got to like, that right there hit me like, and then I went, I got up and I remember just God just boom, boom, just beat me in the chest. Like, dude, you gotta get yourself together. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I had so many emotions running through me, and I'm just apologizing to God in my head. I'm apologizing to my kids. I'm crying. I'm like, why am I like this? Go in the kitchen. Amanda's sitting there cooking. She's not saying nothing. She said, good morning. It's not morning time. This is lunchtime, after lunchtime. But she's being the sweet, perfect person she is. She's like, look, good morning, whatever. And I guess I had gotten some like ibuprofen 800 milligrams. I had spilled them all over the place the night before. My kids was, walking around there. This is stuff that, I couldn't, I just like, in my head, it just kept racing in my head. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And my kids is just loving on me. And I'm like, I'm undeserving of this.
There you go.
100%. Like, I do not deserve my wife to be in the kitchen making a meal for my family that's coming in. My kids running through the house. They're, they're perfectly healthy kids, a healthy wife. I'm healthy. Like, God has blessed me tremendously, and I was too dumb to even realize it at the time.
Like he turned you back on it,
That's
running
right.
away from it.
Yeah, just run away from it. So I'm like, well, God started messing with me right then, and we had been visiting this church. It's called Pilgrim Baptist Church. Or not Pilgrim Baptist. It was Dyson Grove. That's right, Dyson Grove Baptist Church. And Brother Leonard Fletcher was the preacher's name. And he was on fire, man. I mean, this guy right here, he was preaching fire and brimstone, this guy was. I mean, you wouldn't even believe, this guy was just, I mean, he was a preacher, boy. And he was preaching on a sermon, and we had went there and was, in the service or whatnot, and God just, boom. I mean, it was a straight punch.
It starts to feel hot in there, don't it?
Yes. I mean, my ears, like you said, my ears was burning.
Yeah.
My head was burning. I was just like, my legs was wanting to move. And, I'm just like, ooh. But I didn't. And I didn't. I stayed in the pew. And I'm like sweating. I'm like, Lord, I'm not going up there. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. Because I don't want to give up drinking. I don't want to give up all these things that are pleasures for me. I don't want to give these up because I'm too stubborn. And I am. I'm still stubborn to this day. But I was really stubborn then. And so I went home, and that night we was laying in bed. And man, whenever I tell you, I have never, and I never will because this was it for me. But I have never felt such an emotion, such a what do you call that? What do you call that? A burden. A conviction. Conviction. Yeah. I've never felt such a conviction in my soul. I mean, to the very pit. And I remember God just saying, "You need me." And I told her I could hear it. It wasn't like he was speaking like directly to me, like I couldn't like hear his voice, but it was like spiritually he was telling me, "Hey, look, you need me. If you died right now, you're going to hell. You're going to bust hell wide open." So I'm like, "Look, man, I'm going to do this, but I need to know what to do and how to do it." I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to turn. I'm laying in bed. It's 1:00 in the morning, and Amanda's sleeping. By the time I wake her up, and I'm like bawling. And she's like, what? And I'm like, I'm lost. I need to get saved. She's like, well, get saved. I'm like, I don't know how to. Yeah, that's what she said. She's like, well, get saved.
It's not.
Yeah, she's like, it's not hard. My wife, she's been a Christian for a long time, and servant's heart, perfect. But me, I was completely different, and she's like, well, just get saved. Well, I didn't know what to do. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to message the preacher on Facebook because I added him as a friend like a week beforehand. Well, I messaged him on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, this is Chance. You probably don't know me because I hadn't met him much. I'm like, but man, like, I'm lost. I want to get saved. I don't know what to do, where to turn. I need some help. And he was up that night because he had a Bible study that he was working on that he was having some trouble with. And God put him on Facebook that night at 1:00 in the
the
morning.
morning.
And this dude is an older man. I mean, he's not, you could tell he's not like a social media type dude. So, like, God put him on Facebook to, like,
Be there right when you
be
needed
there
him.
right whenever I needed him, because I needed him right then and there. So I'm like,
He instantly
he
responded.
instantly responded.
Wow.
He said, "Look, brother, absolutely." He said, "You can do it yourself right now if you want to." He said, "But if you want to wait till tomorrow, I'll meet you at church and we'll do it. We'll do it at church." I said, "That sounds great." Dude, I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't sleep for like 30 minutes that night, because I'm like, if I go to bed and I die, I'm going to hell. So I was scared to death to go to sleep. So I'm like, man, so I finally, I called my boss at work, and my boss is an old country guy. His name was Eddie, but he's an old country guy, and he called me Junior. He said, "Junior, what's going on?" I said, "Look, man, I'm taking off today." He said, "Why?" I said, "Man, I'm getting saved." He said, "What in the world does that mean?" I said, "Man," I said, "God is calling on me to get saved." I said, "And that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to the church. I'm going to the altar. I'm getting saved." He said, "More power to you. Whatever that means, you do it." So I was like, all right. So I took off, and I met him, and he brought his son-in-law. His name is Cameron Dula, was his son-in-law's name.
And first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, boy, I was there waiting for like an hour. I was waiting on these guys to get there. And my hand, I was in my old 91 Jeep Cherokee, and I'm sitting there gripping the steering wheel. My hands are sweating. I was ready to go. And as soon as I seen him pulling in, he drove a Ford F-150. As soon as I seen that Ford pull in, boy, I jumped out, and I met him at the door, and he come over there and he hugged me. And he's a big dude. I'm little. Okay. So he hugged me. And whenever he hugged me, I just felt like God was just like holding on to me, And I'm like, man, this is what I need right now. And right then and there, I was so convicted in my heart that, I had faith. I knew God. I knew Jesus died on the cross. I knew all this stuff. Like, I believed it wholeheartedly in my heart. And as soon as I hit that church, I run. They were still back there walking. I run to the altar and just knelt at the altar and prayed and prayed and prayed. And he come up and led me in, and man, it was like an experience I've never experienced before, because I raised up, I opened my eyes, and it was like I had different eyeballs. And I'm not kidding. I seen everything in a complete different light. Everything. The trees looked different. The grass looked different. The sky looked different. It was like everything was like just vibrant, and I knew that I was changed.
It was real.
That was real.
Yeah.
And I quit everything just like that. Everything that I done, I didn't cuss no more, didn't drink no more, I didn't do nothing no more.
My doctor asked me, I had a checkup, and I lost a lot of weight, and I used to take blood pressure medication. And he seen me, I had to get some stuff done for this new job. And he says, "Well, you ain't taking your blood pressure medication?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, your blood pressure's fine." I said, "Yes, I know. It's been fine. I've stopped taking it about a year ago." He said, "Well, did something happen?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I quit drinking."
Yeah.
And he said, "Without AA?" I said, yeah, without AA.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, how did you do that?" I said, "Jesus Christ."
That's right. That's exactly
I don't know
right.
what else to tell you,
That's
because that's exactly what happened.
That's right.
I can't explain it myself either, but it was funny. You was talking about what happened in your testimony, with her being, it was like 1:00. It was like 1:00 in the morning for me too. And I'd been going to Liberty. Viewers, I've already shared this a few times, so bear with me. But I was, they have a thing called convocation, and sometimes I don't really understand why some things click for some people and other people that don't. I don't really know. That's God's territory. He knows what's going to affect certain hearts. But I was sitting there listening to this convocation, and it was a Hindu man that had converted to Christianity. And I don't know why that resonated. I don't have a clue, but it started. I don't even know why I turned it on God.
Yeah, that's
because
exactly right.
I was going to Liberty and was drinking and, writing papers.
Yeah.
And so it was like, even though I was just going to Liberty because they accepted me to go, it wasn't because I cared that it was a Christian college or not.
Exactly.
And that night I had a whole fifth waiting to go, and I was drinking about a fifth a night. And I had it ready to go, and I think I'd already had about 2 shots. And I just decided for some reason I was sitting there trying to find something to watch, and I decided to turn on that convocation and see what all it was about. And this guy was going at it, but he was coming at it in a way I had never heard, and I was thinking, this guy here believed in a whole different thing.
That's right. Yeah.
And he is just in this, and he's explaining it in a way that just my heart started pounding like you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so funny because I ended up on my knees, face down in the floor, just crying and begging out to God.
Right. That's awesome.
So I go wake up my wife.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because she was like, I'm going to have to put him to bed again. It was like, like she thought it was the whole, and she comes, and I come in there and walk in there, and I'm like, I'm saved. And I come running out, and I'm in here in the kitchen. I had beer too. I had maybe a 12 pack or something in there. I don't know. When she comes walking to the kitchen, I'm in there pouring stuff out. Right. And she's like, what is going on, man? It's 2:00 by now, probably in the morning. This guy's still preaching. I mean, he's still just going at it on the TV. Yeah. And I'm in here pouring out liquor and beer and everything else.
She's like, what is happening right now? It's the Lord, man. I'm telling you. It's God, man. He hits you at the right time, right when you need it. You know what I mean?
And he uses different people too. Like he used, her mom and dad. I never would in a million years allowed my daughter's boyfriend to stay in my house.
Yeah.
So for him to do that was God. That was Jesus speaking through him.
Huge.
And he's seen you like Jesus sees every one of us.
That's exactly right.
He didn't see the mess. He's seen what it could be.
That's right.
The potential.
The potential. Exactly right. And that's awesome.
That's a blessing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a blessing. That's a huge blessing.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back, Kingdom Cast. We're sitting here again with Chance and Amanda. Amanda, how do you incorporate God in your everyday life with your family and your kids?
Well, we get to homeschool, which has been a blessing for us in our move. We didn't know where we were going to be. We were living in a camper for a couple months trying to find a place. And so we just decided to homeschool for the time being, and it's worked out well for us. So that's been a blessing for us all to be able to be at home. So I get to every day, not every day, but like mostly on school days, we try to do a little devotion in the morning with the kids, and then we say a prayer and we start our day. And just throughout the day, just sometimes I'll cut on worship music and I try to get the kids involved. We bought new devotion books for the kids, and Chance and I, and we've started this new thing called Taco Tuesday Dessert and Devotion, and our kids
love it.
Love it. Every awesome. Tuesday, which I've tried to veer from tacos every Tuesday, like taco soup or enchiladas or something. They're like, no, we want tacos. But we do dinner, we do tacos, and then after dinner, the kids make dessert. And then we do a devotion, and it has become a staple in our house.
That's awesome.
And so just little things like that, just
the stuff that they can look forward to. And then, like you said, the biggest thing is you're spending the time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what kids want. They really want your attention, want your time.
They want your time. That's it.
Yeah, we homeschooled our kids as well. Okay. And that was awesome. the devotion part. My wife did the Bible lessons with them, and that was awesome because I knew, going to work, I knew where my kids was.
That's exactly right.
I knew they was safe. I knew they was taught good godly principles,
Right.
Moral standards, by the Bible, and it was just it's paramount. It is absolute paramount.
It is.
We try to give them the foundation, the spiritual and godly foundation that they need, because when they're thrown out in the world, what are they going to do?
Right.
They need to know.
And it's not that we shelter our kids. I mean, it's not that, because I mean, I am super transparent with my kids.
Yeah, me too.
Especially
Very
my
honest
oldest.
and open.
Yeah, especially my oldest ones. Like, they know about everything. I mean, everything there is to know about, my kids know about. But I am allowed to teach them that on my own terms.
Right.
And and you don't have teachers throwing stuff on my kids that I don't want them throwing on my kids and trying to lead them in the wrong direction. Whenever I've got I'm not gonna say me, but my wife has got complete control over what my kids learn and
how they learn
it. Exactly. So, but with the Bible study, I wanted to say, the oldest ones are getting involved as well, and they're starting now. They are teaching. So, like my daughter taught last week, and the week before that, my son taught. So all week they're just nervous about doing this Bible study. So they're studying their Bible and they're in their Word.
Yeah.
They're reading Scripture. They're getting on the computer, researching Bible stories, and
Valley picked one I never thought she would pick on her own. It was the story of the two women who one's baby died in the night, so she stole the other woman's baby and tried to act like it was hers. And they went to the king, and the king was like, well, just cut the baby in half. Well, one of the women said, fine, cut the baby in half. The other one was like, no, don't harm the baby. And the king knew that was the mom.
Yeah.
So I had forgot about that story,
Yeah.
And so when she came to me, she's like, can you help me find the scripture to this story? I'm like, yeah, sure. And honestly, and then after we do our devotion, they want to act them out. So then the little ones laugh and they get involved. And for days, while Chance is working for days, I hear them in their bedroom, just giggling and talking about Goliath and Samson. And
because we had the David and Goliath the other day, and they was like,
Daddy wanted to be the giant,
which
I didn't think was fair.
Yeah, we was talking about like whose part's gonna get, who's gonna get what part, and I'm like, I'm the father, of course I'm gonna get Goliath, And my kids are like, Dad, you need to let Mom be Goliath. She's way taller than you are, And I was like, man, that's crazy, but nah, we did that, but whenever we did that, my little ones, my big kids can comprehend the scriptures pretty well, but my little ones, it puts it into perspective for them, and they get to see, we go through all the movements and the motions that it talks about and everything. So our kids pick up on it and they remember it, and then they'll tell you about it the next week. They'll be like, oh, we're not talking about David and Goliath and the stones and him getting hit in the head, and they even know about the whole thing, and it's like, man, that is blessing. I never thought my kids would be going down this path, but here they are, and they're growing spiritually, man. It's awesome.
That is what's awesome.
It is. It's awesome.
This whole past year, I've watched mine go from, I was anti-Bible. Like, I literally didn't want to hear anything about it. So my kids didn't learn anything about it.
Right.
And so as I changed and we started going to church. Over the past year now a half, we're moving along. I've just watched them just grow in their own spirit, and it's just amazing to see. Emma just helped her team win the Bible competition award at camp.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
It's
that is great.
Just watching them. Ashlyn, she was the camper of the week for the camp.
That's awesome.
And just watching them just go through all this. And Ashlyn, there was a moment at camp. I was in with the juniors. I went to camp this last year for summer and helped out. And I did lunch or fed the juniors, and they kind of split the teens and juniors up. So the people that was in with the chapel with the juniors went and fed the juniors when they were done.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see the teens where Emma's at, but I got to see Ashlyn. And I'm sitting in the back of the church, and, all the kids is up there doing their thing. And this woman gets up and goes to the altar. One of the counselors, and Ashlyn had got up and went up there, and I didn't know. I'd seen it, but I didn't know what was said till later. So I see it, and I'm just sitting back there, and I'm just observing and crying and thanking God for this whole thing because I don't deserve any of this. And so later on, after chapel was over with, I seen them get up and hug each other and this, that, and the other. And she said, "I got to come up and tell you something about Ashlyn." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "I had just had something burden in my heart, and I wanted to go to the altar." Right. And she came and she prayed with me, and she said, when I looked up and seen it was her after I got through praying, she said, "I don't know you, but I love you," and just gave me the biggest hug. And I was like, "Whew."
Yeah.
It's just
God
it's amazing to see.
time.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see how just being obedient to God and doing what He asked. School. We don't have our kids homeschool, and that does concern me a lot of times with what's being taught, especially. But we were sitting, me and Emma had pulled up. I'm not going to mention the name of the school. It's in this city. So we pulled up. She had to go there for like a month last year at the end of school. And I was at a job that great money, but that's what I've always done. Yeah. It's always been about the dollar signs, and I was so miserable, and I just felt God for like the past couple of months, just this ain't where you're supposed to be. And so I'm sitting in the van with Emma, my oldest. She's 13 now. She's an 8th grader this year, and she's sitting there looking as miserable as me. And we're both kind of just quiet, and I'm like, I gotta leave this job. I don't know what we're gonna do. And Emma's like, "Well, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I want to leave this school." Yeah. I said, "Emma, all I can do is tell you we both need to pray about it."
That's right.
And so we started praying about it, and God didn't. And I told her, I said, "I don't know if you'll be able to leave this school by next year or not. I have no idea what's gonna happen, Emma. I'm not even trying to get your hopes up. It's in the Lord's hands. Whatever's gonna happen. If we can homeschool you, we'll homeschool you, or we do this and we do that. I don't know." I ended up getting a new job, and because I'm at that job, she can move schools.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
So God put us not
Both
only,
of y'all.
yeah, He took me out of my job over here and her out of the school, and now we in the same location.
So He blessed both of y'all
at the same place. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So just being obedient and even doing this podcast. I've always sung in front of people. I ain't never just sit and talk. That's kind of a strange thing to me. Yeah. So it's amazing. I was like, Nathan said the same thing. He was like, I don't know about this.
Just kind of sitting here, just trying to keep conversation going. It's definitely,
But the hard thing in this world is talking about your faith boldly.
Yes.
And I think that you both God's calling you to do that.
That's right.
And your obedience, He's going to bless you.
Oh, yeah, He's going to bless you.
That's it. You got to do
time.
it. I mean, these talking about teenagers, kids. There's plenty of negativity out there.
Yeah.
They don't need no more rap songs that talks about sex and everything else.
That's exactly right.
Country songs. We talked about that on the episode, talking about drinking a beer with Jesus.
Yeah.
They're trying to associate it and make you think that that's acceptable.
Exactly.
It's not.
That's exactly right.
And they need to see something.
Yep.
It might be the only thing today they see that is positive.
That's right.
Towards God.
That's exactly right. I know the world just creeps in, and it has been creeping in. But I think here really lately is whenever me and Amanda really noticed that the world is just like they've taken over everything. Like taking over music, videos, movies, commercials, ads. Like they've taken over everything. Yeah. And it's like my kids need something positive to watch, and it's like stuff like this, the podcast that uplifts God every time it gets on the air and stuff like that. Like I want my kids being wrapped up in stuff like that than of the world, but now it's getting few and far between, man. You don't find stuff like this. So what y'all are doing is amazing, and I definitely don't think that y'all should stop. I think you should definitely
Oh yeah.
Just keep
keep
going,
growing.
man. Keep growing and growing. God's gonna bless you 100%, man. I'm
Hopefully,
proud of you.
next season we'll have y'all back on
Yeah.
and have our wives on with
That's
all,
right.
all of
That
us.
would be
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be really good.
Yeah, because the devil, he's really attacking the marriages.
He is.
Oh, he is.
He's attacking the whole biblical form of marriage, of
that's
what
right.
marriage truly is. He's attacking it, and he's going to find every way. Like, he's talking about the ads and commercials and everything. He's going to find every way that he can get in and turn someone.
Yeah.
And that someone's going to help turn somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
We just need to turn it back.
That's right. That's some little fiery darts that he shoots out, man.
And what viewer, whoever doesn't understand viewers, that the devil really loves to use sex to sell.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's amazing how my sex life has become even stronger.
Yeah.
Because you're in an intimate relationship with God, and He gave you this person.
That's exactly
especially for you. And when you have, I don't want to spend too much time on sex, but when you have sex with somebody and you have that intimate relationship with them, and it's supposed to be a union, a connection,
That's
because
exactly right.
I mean it's unbelievable. The devil can't even compete with that, and he don't even want you to know about it.
Yeah.
He wants it to be a secret.
Exactly.
Because he wants you to think that, watching booty shaking and everything else that goes on in the music videos and all that kind of stuff it's hot lust.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, if you ain't had passionate sex, I
That's
don't know
it.
what to tell you, because that right
Exactly.
there is where it's at.
And that's definitely something that we've talked about. Look, I'm gonna tell you
Hey, get it
something.
off your mind,
Look,
man.
I'm gonna tell you something. I got 4 kids, okay? So I know all about that. But the thing about it is, on an honest note, I think that yes, it's physical. Absolutely.
You got to be
it's got to be a physical. But my thing is it's very emotional and spiritual.
Yeah.
Because she's mine, I'm hers. And we connect so much on an intimate level that God has blessed me with her. He made woman to be a helpmeet, So she is mine, I'm hers, and whenever we're intimate like that, and we're passionate about each other like that, it's amazing how God has blessed us together with each other, and for us to experience moments like that, to be vulnerable,
and that's supposed to be your
intimate.
moment to shut off the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead.
And I think too, after you got saved, I grew up in church. I got saved at a young age, 6 years old, and so I knew God and I loved God. I was active in my church. Even went through college, I taught a GA class, but I was never really on fire for God until he got saved. And then after he got saved, it kind of reignited my passion, and I wanted that, and I desired that personal relationship with God like I had never had before.
Right. Yep.
And I feel like it changed both of us so much, even in that aspect, in the bedroom aspect. I loved him so much more. I had more of what's the word I'm looking for? A deeper passion.
Yeah.
Because I love God, and I know he loves God, and I can see that in him.
Yeah.
And that just made me love him even more.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And that talking about not being saved, those demons, the devil wants them demons to affect, and they can come off onto the other person.
That's right.
And you was talking about that being that connection. I think that's why it's so important that you talk about abstinence before marriage and all this kind of thing.
Right.
I know a lot of us didn't do it, but we should have.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
if you're with somebody that you're not supposed to be with, that God didn't make for you, first of all, that person is somebody else's.
Right.
And second of all, you're just sharing demons. That's not at all what is intended.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right, well, it's getting hot in here. We're going to take a break real quick.
You know, when Chance got saved, or whenever that, before he got saved that night, I was quiet because God shut my mouth. I prayed that morning when I woke up and seen I just had Valley. She was a year old. She was crawling. So whenever I woke up and seen ibuprofen everywhere, I was just furious.
Oh yeah.
And
Selfishness, man.
It is. Yeah.
Selfishness.
Definitely.
it is. And the
Yeah,
people he was with is what really, it was just like, really? But I was so mad. And I told God, his whole family was coming over for Easter weekend. We got to cook. He was supposed to mow the yard, like all this stuff. And I said, God, you're going to have to shut my mouth.
He did too, and boy, I needed it. That silence was real
I was
loud
like,
that day.
because I have so much I want to say right now. And he did. I didn't say a word. I prayed off and on all day. Every time Chance come in the room, I'd pray. I'd be like, God, you're going to have to keep me quiet. And so,
no, you
and he did, and it worked. I didn't have
did.
to say nothing. God handled the whole situation.
Yeah, because
Maybe that's what he needed.
Yeah.
You know,
Was for me to be
having a
quiet
wife
so
to
he
pray
could
for
hear
him.
God.
dude, a wife that prays for you, that is huge. Huge.
She don't pack up the kids.
No.
She don't leave. She's sitting in there praying for fixing dinner
That's
for
right.
your family. I mean, that's
praying. Yeah, and that was something that also like really got me was that, you know, whenever I come to and I realized like everything I'd done, and whenever I gave my life to Christ, I realized I was like, my wife has sat here, because that happened. That was April 4th, because I went out for my birthday on April 3rd. April 4th, that next day was the day that everything was hitting the fan. And then April 6th is whenever I give my life to Christ. And 2015. And I remember thinking to myself, my wife dealt with that in such a godly way.
Yeah.
Like she could have made me turn even worse, because if she would have yelled at me, screamed at me, I'd have went back out and done something stupid again. But instead, she handled it with so much grace. And you know, I always thank her for her dedication to me, and her dedication to God as well, and just always being there, always praying for me, always just wanting the best for me and for God to bless me, even whenever I don't deserve it. Even whenever, you know, back then I didn't even want to believe in him, because I was scared to lose everything that I had. But you know, her praying for me and just constantly taking me to, you know, in prayer, it was just, you know, that's a blessing to think about, that my wife took time out of her life to do that for me. So that was definitely a blessing. She's awesome.
And then you think about losing everything you have.
Yeah.
Man, the things I've gained.
Yes.
I mean,
exactly.
The things I've gained far outweigh what I thought I was
That's
losing.
right. That's exactly.
What was I losing? A hangover?
Yeah.
Well, you feel like it's a
Hangover
part
and a few
of
friends.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you feel like it's a part of you. You do, and then you're like, I can't lose that part of me. Who am I going to be?
Yeah.
Who am I going to
very
be
true.
without a drink in my
it is.
hand?
Yes.
I'm not going to be the
That's-
life of the party
That's
anymore.
that's how everybody viewed me. It's like when Willis gets here, you know, he's bringing 8 bottles. It's just going to be just,
Yeah, it's
oh,
gonna be
dude, wait
crazy.
till this guy gets here, bro. The Willis is,
Yeah.
man, wait till he, and you, I think a lot of times, a lot of viewers, if you're out there listening to this, if you're feeling like that, first of all, those are not your real friends.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
exactly
And,
right.
There's somebody that they need Jesus too, and the devil has put this in the way of all of you getting where you need to be with Christ, and it's not worth it. I'm still the life of the party, but it's a different kind of party.
That's right.
I'm on a different track, and we're going to a different place.
That's right.
It's a joy-filled party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
It don't have hangovers either.
No.
No throwing up at
No.
2 a.m.
None of that.
I don't
headaches.
miss none of that.
I don't miss none of that at all.
That
either.
shaky feeling
Yeah.
when you wake up and the whole room's still spinning.
Yep, that's
hate
exactly
that.
right. Yep,
I know.
that's
It's
that's an old feeling, but I'm glad I stopped. I'm glad I stopped doing that, because I mean, since 2015, hadn't had a drink, hadn't had not even a sip of alcohol whatsoever, and I don't even know I mean, I don't even know who I was before that. Like, I can't even remember. All I know is who I am now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even, and whenever I talk about my past and stuff, I never ever want to do this. And I've shared this with so many people. You know, me and my wife, we was youth leaders for a long time, and you know, I shared my testimony with them a lot because I really related to them a whole lot, and so did Amanda did as well. And I never ever share anything bragging about nothing.
Yeah.
It's where God has brought me from. Because, man, he brought me out of the pits of hell. He reached in there. He grabbed me out of there. And he brought me up. And literally, I'm on a one-way ticket home. You know what I mean? So it was awesome how God, I'm so important to God that he would do something like that for me.
That's right.
So,
Knowing how unworthy
that's
we
right.
are.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Man.
Good stuff.
I had something on my mind and I don't know where. I lost it. It skipped right out on me. Let me think for a second. Don't worry, I can cut this.
No, you're good.
I did have something on my. I just.
Look,
had
I ain't
it
worried
on my
about
mind.
it. You
got it.
I know you can cut it. Go ahead.
Anyways, so you're a lineman,
Yes. Yep.
and that's I know personally because I was a lineman as well. That's a field that is challenging
That's right.
to be a Christian.
It is. Absolutely.
How do you go through your everyday walk and be that light for others?
And it used to be totally different. Okay. I was a lineman in the mountains as well, and it was easy up there to be a lineman in the mountains because we was in the Bible Belt in the mountains. So we had a church on every single corner. You know, everybody had the same beliefs as you. Everything was different, and you could go in there and you wouldn't be tested much at all. I mean, you could live your life just like you would every day, be fine. I moved.
Well, and he worked in a workplace where just about everybody believed the same way.
Yeah, and I went to church with a lot of them. One of the foremans was a deacon at my church I went to. So I mean, it's like, I didn't have to really. My faith wasn't tested, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I was comfortable, but then whenever I moved out of that comfort zone and I went to the coast, everything's different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everything. And whenever I first become a Christian, whenever I first give my heart to Christ, I jammed Jesus down everybody's throat. Okay? I didn't mean to. Right. I was so excited. Yeah. I told everybody about him. I lost every friend I had except for like one, right? Because they're like, whoa, this is weird. I don't like this. I don't like this chance. You know what I mean? But I didn't care. I'm like, the heck with you. If you don't want to be my friend, go on, But I shouldn't have been like that probably. But, they just stopped talking to me. There ain't nothing I could do about it. But I started realizing that I might have been going overboard a little bit, if that's even a thing really. But I realized I had to do it a little differently. You know what I mean? You can't just go to everybody and boom, 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 boom. Right. Because you could turn them away ultimately on accident and not even realize it. So I started doing it by just living my life according to God's will.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I want people to see God through me. Mm-hmm. That I want them to look at me and be like, what in the world is up with this guy? Like, he's got something different about him. And man, it's weird because I know some of the guys that I work with right now are probably going to see this and they might say the same thing or say something different. I don't know. But whenever I first got there, everybody looked at me like the black sheep. Nobody knew me. Nobody liked me. And they are very judgmental. Okay. And they didn't talk to me. They avoided me like the plague. So I'm just like, whatever. So I just like did my own thing, didn't hardly talk to nobody. And I'm a very outgoing person. Yeah. I'm a very talkative person. So that is unlike me. But God is just like, calm down. Yeah. This ain't your time. Just calm down, chill out, just wait. So I kept going and going. And about 2 months in, I met, got a friend. 3 months in, got a friend, kept going on and on and on. And now it's like, I don't cuss, I don't drink, I don't party. All these guys do. They do stuff on the weekends and stuff, but they know I don't do these things. So if I come around, the inappropriate jokes are gone. They apologize to me if they use a bad word. Oh, I'm sorry. They call me Cooter at work. I've had that nickname for forever off of Dukes of Hazzard. But I've had that name for a long time. But they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, Cooter. That's my fault. I didn't mean to say that in front of you. And then they'll stop talking about something. And then I started to just handling that with grace with them. I'm like, oh, it is what it is. Definitely, you definitely don't need to be saying that. And honestly, I'm one of the oldest ones there. So these kids are like under my wing, I guess, and I feel like I'm
we've
like,
entered that era.
yeah, I've entered that
where it's
era in
like,
my
now
life
we're the
where,
old.
now we're the older ones, and they're like, yes sir, and call me sir and stuff, and then I feel like I can guide them without being overbearing and without being like shoving God down their throat. And I think that I've made a really good name for myself because, people come to me and they say, I had this guy come to me the other day and he's like, man, how do you do it? And I'm like, how do I do what? He's like, you come into work every day. You never let nothing bother you. You never cuss. You never throw stuff. You never do anything, man. You are just the same all the time, every day. You're never in a bad mood. You're always in a good mood. Like, what is it? I'm like, I love the Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, I have nothing else to say.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the guys, and they know that, they know I'm a Christian man. They know I love the Lord, and they respect it 100%. But I think that just like being quiet, kind of, sort of, not really being like super crazy, and overbearing and stuff. I think that is really a good way from what I have seen.
Yeah.
That is a good way to handle that.
If you look at the life of Christ
Yeah.
as an example, which we all should,
Yeah, exactly.
he led with compassion
That's
and he
right.
led very calmly.
Yeah.
He was a leader, but he did it in a very calm way. He only got a couple times with the Pharisees, which is interesting because it wasn't the sinners that he was aggravated the most with. It was the religious individuals. And we got to walk that way and be Christ-like and show others Christ, because that is what's important.
That's right.
Like you said, and it's in my walk, I have found here lately, people just come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
You give off an aura that
Right.
that is Christ, that they're attracted to it.
That's right.
And I have people all the time that, if I was 3 years ago, they would have never spoke to me in public.
Yep. That's exactly
But
right.
they just walk up and just start talking to me, like I've always been a good college guy, and I went to Yale, and I had a guy walk up to me the other day and was just, "Oh, how you doing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm doing good, sir. How are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it's like, what world am I living in?
Yeah, that's right.
This type of person
crazy.
doesn't usually speak to me.
Yeah.
But,
When we first moved, it was difficult. He'd come home every day. I could just see on his face, like, he was just beat. He was alone. We were lonely. Like, we uprooted our entire lives and moved and had nobody. And so, which I have a sister down there, but, she was working and stuff. So we didn't get to see him that much at first. But it was just every day he'd come home, I could just see how he was just beat. And I kept saying, God brought us here for a reason. God's got a purpose for this season, just keep going to work, keep your head held high, something's going to happen. We're here for a reason. Chance has a personality that people are drawn to. He does. He has a gift.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a character that he's just awesome. He has a gift of words, and people just love that about him. And I think that people are drawn to him, and he doesn't realize that. And I kept telling him, just keep your head held high. It'll get better. God has you here for a reason. And now it's been a year and a half, just about, that he's worked there. And there's been several occasions where people have came to him about his faith. And I said, even if you don't lead them to the Lord, you're planting seeds in their life.
right.
That's right.
And your testimony, your walk, it's an encouragement to them.
This is what marriage looks like. The uplifting, that both of you have done throughout the session, and just, you can tell the genuine love that you have for each other. That's marriage.
Yeah.
And that kind of marriage that doesn't lead to divorce or lead to all the other outcome, death.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
cases.
Ain't that the truth?
That's God.
That's
That's
right.
God
Yeah.
being in your life and wanting to be that light to others. And we have to do that in a calm way, but it is so important too, for especially your young ones, for them to see what an actual good relationship is supposed to be like.
That's exactly right.
Because they got so many influences that take them down other roads and make them think that those roads are better or whatever, the devil. And, just like the drinking and everything else, these things start with just the smallest of things. and even getting back off track.
Yeah.
It starts very small. The
Right.
devil doesn't. It's not like he comes in one day with a fifth of liquor and says, "Down this."
Yeah.
He starts off with just one little thing at a time, and then it just
Where you don't
builds
even
and builds
notice.
and builds,
Yeah.
right? Until the next thing you know, you're so far gone, you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
You're like,
right.
how did I get here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. That's exactly where I was. What has happened? And that sounds like where you was when you woke up and your kids was at the foot of the bed.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah. What is happening right now? Yeah.
Man, who are you? Do y'all belong to me? You know, like,
Yeah.
you my kids?
Yeah. Like, what's going on right
There's no denying.
Who's
Yeah.
coming over?
now? Yeah.
My parent.
Yeah.
What?
What are you talking
Or
about?
my people.
What day is
I
it?
don't know who was coming over. But
What day is it? I don't even know what day it was. Yeah, I was all turned around that day. But, you know, she, you know, my wife is very good at uplifting me. And, you know, like you said, even sitting here, you know, she's just an uplifter, man, like through and through. Like there's no, in my opinion, there's nobody better than my wife, as far as being an uplifter. And I think that, you know, you have me, you have her, and you have God, and you put us all together. And I mean, we are just unstoppable, man. Like, I feel like, you know, yeah, we have our days. Yeah, everybody does. You know,
Yeah.
we have our arguments, we have our issues. You know, we say things we shouldn't, we do things we shouldn't. But, you know, God's grace is sufficient.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Like, you know, he looks at us and, you know, he doesn't see us like, you know, sinners and stuff like that. We're
His
child.
children.
Yeah, we're his children.
We're covered under the
we're
blood.
covered under the blood. And I think that God giving me such a wonderful partner has just like made our marriage just explode, man. And
We had to learn
we did
at a young age. We got married young too, but 21.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's young. But
Yeah.
we had to learn, you know, like if God wasn't our foundation, we were falling
Yeah.
everywhere
Mhm.
all the time. And whenever we got that right,
Yeah.
it became easy, not perfect, but it came easier for us. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
I tell him everything.
Yeah.
We communicate about everything.
Everything.
And I think that with God as a foundation and then him,
Mm-hmm.
we try to install that in our kids. Your daddy is my best friend. I tell him everything.
Mm-hmm.
I support him on everything. I look at him and there's nothing in this world he couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I will always feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my own personal marriage, you know, just the way we complement each other is you was talking about her being an uplifter.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome because like whenever she needs uplifting,
Yeah.
you know, I'm the one that's the level headed, and she, you know, when she's like freaking out, I'm the one that's level headed. And then when I'm the one freaking out,
Yeah.
she's the one that's level headed,
Yeah.
saying, you know, it'll be okay, it'll
Yeah.
be okay. And it's amazing how God will allow that to happen.
Yeah, he balances.
And he
I
balances
truly-
out.
That's right.
I truly think that he made us for each other.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
100%.
I really love where you went with that because I was going to let you know Kim is going to watch this. I was
You
like,
better be
where's,
careful.
Where's he going?
Hold
with
on.
this?
Hold on. Easy,
I'm not
easy.
editing this out. Oh, well, I have been. Everybody tells me I'm blessed, and
You are.
they have
Big time.
no idea. You know, they really have no
Yeah.
idea how blessed. When you say that, it's kind of loose. It's a void.
Yeah.
You don't even really understand what you're telling me of what that young lady's been through with me.
Yeah.
And to still be there and be that wife, holding hands at church on Sunday and just be proud to be with me is
Right.
a blessing. I mean, I was still,
She's seen the potential
know,
in you.
That's right.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She knew that if you would submit to God, he'd change your whole world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she prayed and prayed and prayed. And my mama, who's passed away now, she prayed. And, you know, that I hate that sometimes. You know, I was like, man, you know, I wish I could like wrap my arms around my mom
That's
at this
right.
point and just let her know, like, hey, I'm gonna see you again. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be all
I'm
right.
here.
Yeah.
I didn't have that luxury, but you know, either way, I'm gonna see her again.
That's right.
And I'm the wife that God gave me to go through all that with, because that when she passed away is when I really started. I drank like we have a party or something, but
Yeah.
when she passed away,
Yeah.
that's when it all just
Really?
downhill.
Yeah. Well, I hate to hear that. I didn't know
Yeah.
about your mama.
Yeah.
Hated to hear that.
but but my wife, she has definitely been a rock and been a mother through
Yeah.
all of this. You know, she still was doing what she was supposed to be doing. And
Right.
I'm blessed.
And here you are.
I am blessed.
Here you
Hashtag
are.
blessed.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Here you are talking about
We-
how good God is.
That's right.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
We used to sing a song at the church that we went to in Mount City, Calvary Baptist Church, and it was "Somebody Prayed for Me." And every time we sang that song, I would get so emotional because my parents both, my entire life, have prayed for me. And when I was younger, I tell people this all the time. I used to hate my mom. Like, I thought she was the crazy God woman. And she used to get on my nerves every time she'd bring up God or say, let's pray about it. I'd be like, oh, fine, whatever. But I always think about them during that song and think, like, they prayed for me
That's
in
right.
their
Yeah.
bedroom at night.
Yeah.
They prayed for me when they knew I wasn't home and I should have been home. They prayed for me when I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And I never even knew, I never even acknowledged it until that moment and that song. Every time I think, they prayed for me.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you
Power
know?
of
Like,
prayer.
yeah, the power of prayer. They never gave up. They
And-
still pray for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. And they got like her mom. I mean, her mom is an avid prayer. I mean, she prays.
Now she's my best friend.
She
I
is
don't
in
hate
a-
her no more.
Which of course
I
you
love
know,
her so much.
The Bible tells us that we need to be in a constant state of prayer, right? But with her mom, and she's in a constant state of prayer. I mean, she sees something going on. Oh Lord, pray for him. Oh Lord, pray for him. Well, she's got a rug that it's her prayer rug. And she takes it with her. She goes on a trip to our house over on the coast. You go to get stuff out of her truck to help her bring her stuff in. She's got that prayer rug.
Grab my
And she'll
rug.
she's like, don't forget to grab my rug. So she grabs that prayer rug and she'll throw it down at night. She'll throw it down on the ground and she'll just kneel down on it and just pray her little heart out.
Wow.
And that's a testimony of her mom and her dad, of course. And it just goes
power
to
of
the
prayer.
power of prayer, man, and having that support, spiritual support for so many years for her too. I mean, that's a blessing to have that.
I'm really blessed to have the parents that I had growing up.
yeah.
I had friends. I used to go to their house and I'd think, I wish my parents were like this.
Yeah.
They don't care what they do. They can do whatever they want. They get to have fun. And then one day, one of my friends looked at me and she's like, I wish I had parents like yours.
Yeah.
My parents have never even told me they loved me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
mine say it every day, all day long.
I went to houses that was rich, you know, like the central area down by the lake and stuff. And you go into these homes, especially as a young man. You know, I don't have a mansion here, and as a kid, you're like, my goodness, I would love this to be my house, bro.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh,
This is crazy.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
They're empty.
Yeah.
Inside,
empty.
they have no love.
That's
Their
right.
parents
It
are gone
feels-
working all the time. They don't talk to them. They don't tell them they love them, and it's
Right.
and I started to realize that the size of the house didn't matter. It was the people that was in it and the
Right.
love that was in it.
That's
That's
right.
exactly.
And then
right.
ultimately, God being in it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And it really, you know, I didn't understand that at the time, that part of it at the time, but
Yeah.
I did understand, man, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It looks like everything you could ever dream of, but it's so empty in here and it don't feel right.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Mm.
That's exactly right. I was definitely blessed growing up with the parents I had because they were loving parents and everything like that, and they showed me what love is as far as like parent love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you know, then her family, which you know, my mom and dad, they went to church and stuff, and then whenever they got divorced, it just slippery slope and a lot of and no harm on either one of them because I've got a great relationship with both of them still. It was just something that happened, and it is what it is. It's water under the bridge. But, you know, they showed me ultimately what love is. Physical love.
Yeah.
But her mom and dad showed me spiritual love.
Yeah.
And it's like you would feel like it would be the same, but it's not. You know, yeah, physical love, I love it. I love feeling that physical love, you know, a hug from my mom or hug from my dad, but you know, her mom and dad, whenever they, you know, it was a spiritual love with them
A godly
and
love.
a godly love, and it just made me warm from the inside. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how how stuff like that affects you, man. And you know, whenever I felt that, it was just like I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, I know that this is what I want. I want to be like that. I want to feel that. And that's what I aspired to be. And you know, that's what I shot for. So it took a while.
My
It took
parents
hard
loved
lessons.
Chance at first, you know, because they knew his reputation. They were like, when I was younger, they were like, no, you're forbidden to see this boy. And later in life, when we went out and he came to the house, my parents, I was so scared for my parents to like meet him. And he sat, my dad, I'm a daddy's girl.
Oh yeah.
I'm a daddy and mommy's girl now, but when I was younger, I was a daddy's girl all the time. And so it was really important for me, for my dad to like him. And my dad, leading up to this day, hadn't talked to me very much for a few days because he's like, I know about that Chance Mullins kid. I know about the life he lives. And I'm like, you just got to meet him, you know? And he came to the house and sat in my dad's chair, rocking chair. And this mouse came out of nowhere and went up his chair. And it was like an instant. God, I swear God did that for an icebreaker.
It was an icebreaker. 100%.
Because ever since then, it was just like my parents fell in love with Chance. And I swear they think they birthed him. Mm-hmm. And they would pick him over me.
Yeah.
I doubt that.
No.
That's how it is with my in-laws too. If you're watching this, it's funny because my parents and my wife's parents were enemies. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife didn't even know it till later on. We met at 16 at a church camp, and my parents had gotten voted out of the church that they go to. And so my whole family left that church. I didn't know, me and Tiffany didn't know until later on that we have pictures. I have pictures that's in her family album, like me and her playing together in diapers and all kind of stuff.
Oh, wow, that's weird. That's a small world.
So then we get to the teen years and we start, you know, hanging out, and I came home and I was like, yeah, I got this new girl I'm talking to that I met at camp, you know. Dad's like in his recliner reading the paper. Mom's washing dishes. I was like, her name's Tiffany. And they were like, Tiffany? What's her last name? I was like, I just started talking to her. I don't know what her last name is. So I was like, hang on, I'll find out. So I go call her. I come back. I'm like, her last name's Bird. When I said Bird, Mama quit washing the dishes. Dad just like puts the paper down and like looks over at the sink where Mama's at, and he's like, you don't think it could be, do you? And she's like over there, she's like, no, it couldn't be. So then Dad hits me with what's her parents' name? It's like, I don't know.
I just found out.
I literally just thought she was pretty at this point.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
I don't know. So I go and I find out, you know, and I come back and tell them. And it was immediate. It was like, you are not allowed to talk to her.
Oh, yeah.
You know, my whole family, like my grandma, everybody was like, you ain't talking to that girl.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
So then I remember the first time that they dropped her off at my grandma's house to hang out for a little while, because I stayed with my grandma a whole bunch back then. And I come in there with her. By the end of the day, my grandma was like calling her a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
You know, and was like, she's the one.
That's
You
right.
know, she's the one.
That's it.
And I was
That's
like,
it.
you was just saying I was forbidden to even talk to her. She's like, that girl's going to take you places.
That's right.
I was like, what in the world are you talking about?
Grandma's intuition.
That's right. That's right. Well, she called it, didn't she?
She called it.
She called
She
it.
called it.
That ain't
And then, you know, my in-laws, that's an amazing story too, because, you know, I told you our family got voted out. They got voted out of a church as well later on in life. So it's kind of weird how.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Church
revolving
hurt
door.
is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get past a church hurt.
So they started drinking with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you know, they went through the, you know, kind of that time period with me. And then when I made my change, you know, you was talking about thinking about like what you got to give up.
Yeah.
Well, part of that too is thinking about some of the people you're going to lose.
Exactly.
And how am I going to tell these people I'm not drinking at the 4th of July party or whatever. So the next thing I know, they're back in church.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, man, I didn't have to explain nothing. And then my best drinking buddy, Kenny, you know, me and him was like, you know, if we drinking together.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting in church one day And here he come walking in the door. I'm like, I know God's got a sense of humor.
Yeah,
like, what's
that's
going
right.
on?
Like, what is this? What is this?
Next thing I know, he calls me up one night. And he's like, I know we got a history, and I don't know how you feel about it, but we wanted to talk to you, him and his wife. He said, I wanted to talk to you first and just ask you, like, how would you feel if we made this our home church too? I was like, brother, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
You got a seat beside me. What you talking about?
So
That's awesome.
it just
man.
it
That's
just
a
worked
blessing.
itself out.
That's a blessing. Man.
You just follow God and obey Him, and it just
That's
everything else just falls into place.
It does.
He
It
does
does.
it.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, they don't realize that with God, things do fall in place.
They
I mean,
do.
yeah, don't get me wrong. You're going to go through trials and
Mhm.
tribulations and stuff like that. But, you know, ultimately, God's got you, man.
Yeah.
I
God's
mean, He
timing.
does. It's His timing. It's, you know, it's His worry. It's His worry to care about. You know, it's as far as taking that worry from you, you know, like I learned whenever I gave my life to Christ, I learned it was shortly after this because, you know, the whole entire, from the beginning of me giving my life to Christ and my Christianity, I guess the start of my Christianity, I was scared. I mean, I was so scared about everything. And God took so much of that worry, so much of that guilt, because I had so much guilt over the sin that I've done. And how can a man die on the cross for my sins and forgive me for everything that I've done and start me over fresh like that? And everything's covered under the blood. And it's like, hold on. There ain't no way that's happening. You know, there ain't no way. But whenever I started realizing that I'm unworthy of His love, God was just taking that worry and He was just like, look, He was replacing it with confidence. He was replacing it with His love. And I started looking at things a whole lot differently, you know, and it's amazing how God, He shows up whenever you need Him the most.
Has a plan for your
He
life.
has a plan for your life.
And He can start revealing His plan to you
That's
at
right.
that time.
That's right.
Man, it has been a fantastic time, dude, to just sit down and talk with you.
Absolutely, man. This has been great.
I kind of hate for it to end.
I know.
It's been good.
It has.
Would one of you like to close us out in prayer?
Yeah, I'll pray.
All right.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you today, Lord. I just thank you for allowing us to be on this podcast, Lord, and for me to be able to catch up with an old friend of mine, Lord, and seeing us both go down this path, Lord, to Christianity and the path to you, God. I pray, God, that you just continue to help us and our families. And God, I just thank you for just lead, guiding, and directing us, Lord, and all that we've done and all that we're going to do, God. I pray that you just be with this podcast, Lord. Help it to just reach everybody that needs to hear it, God. Like Stephen said, you know, they're not doing this to be famous. They're not doing this for all the views. But, God, there is somebody out there, Lord, that needs you, Lord. And maybe this podcast is their way of just communicating with you, God. I pray, Lord, that you just continually guide and direct them, Lord. Help their production just get bigger, Lord. Whatever they need, God, I pray, Lord, that you just give it to them, God. Everything. Answer prayers. Anything that they need, God, I pray, Lord, that you just put your blessing upon each and every bit of it. God, I thank you for allowing us to be a part of this meeting, Lord. I thank you for allowing us just to sit here and just thank you, God, for your love and your mercy and your grace and everything in between, God. I thank you for my beautiful wife, Lord, and for the love that I share with her, God, and for us to be able to just maybe show people that maybe need some help with their marriage, God, and maybe they're wondering who they need to turn to, God. I pray that this may be the spot that they need to be watching, Lord, just to help them out, Lord, in their walk. Thank you so much for dying on the cross, Lord, and for all the blood that was shed on Calvary's cross, God. I thank you for that. I thank you for my salvation. I thank you for my family and my friends, Lord. We love you, Jesus, and we thank you for all that you've done for us in Christ's name. Amen.
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 Yes, sir.
I like that plug in he did. That was beautiful. My beautiful wife.
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
talking
right.
about. Yeah.
He's trying to get brownie points.
I was about to say smoking hot wife, but I didn't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
But no.